Welcome along then to Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli for round 3 of 6 in this year's FIM Yamaha R3 bLU cRU World Cup of 2024. We're almost half an hour later than scheduled due to some incidents in earlier races here for the World SBK Series, but we have a new pole sitter, the 15th in the history of the series, and the first from Japan, Shoya Yamane up there with Jean-Maria Ibidi, one of the wild cards this weekend, on the front row of the grid. What a superb performance from the Italian alongside the World Championship leader for the R3 World Cup, as it now is. And that's Gonzalo Sanchez, and he comes here off the back of another tremendous victory at Assen 2 months ago. In fact, Gonzalo Sanchez has won 3 of the 4 races so far. The only rider to have prevented him and stopped him in his tracks narrowly was Mark Vick when he came through and got past him at Assen. And of course, Sanchez actually failed to finish that race. So we see the grid. It's the quick start procedure because we are behind schedule here, and with many Italian wild cards in the field, including 3 lady riders, we have real variety here in what will be the 5th of 12 races so far this season. We've seen the quick start procedure, and now they will move away once again. There is the green flag, and this is the final warm-up lap before what will be a 10-lap race. And it now is a clockwise layout here at Misano, as it has been since 2006. It's 4.2 kilometers, 2.6 miles. Greg Haynes with you, and having just made my way across the paddock, I can tell you that it's quite balmy and sweaty outside with 31 degrees Celsius ambient temperature. The track temperature 45 degrees Celsius and humidity levels of 34%. They've made their way through the park chicane, and now they're into the double right-handers of turns 4 and 5. That's Rio Corner here at Misano, named after the late, great Marco Simoncelli, and there's so many memories of Marco all around the venue. And we look across there with the oak tree itself, La Quercia, up on the top of the grass bank, looking down on La Quercia Corner. There's the latest weather conditions. This will be a popular place for passing across the race. Sanchez, number 23 from Spain, leads Mark Vick, number 96 from Spain, by 14 points. But we have 25 available for the race win here, and 50 available over the course of the weekend. This is season number 4 for what is now known as a World Cup for the bLU cRU R3 riders. And here is the championship situation. And with 50 points available over the race weekend, it actually means that any one of 10 riders, down to Mario Sales, who is 10th in the championship, could lead. And at the end of today's race, any one of the top 4, down to David Novak from Poland, could lead this championship. Eduardo Burr, as you can see, is tied on points with him there in 3rd place. Eduardo Burr, one of the riders from Brazil. I've been chatting with a few of the riders overnight following their qualifying session that decided the grid for this first race of the weekend. But it only decided the grid for that first race because for race 2 in the new rules for 2024, it's the top 9 fastest laps from race 1. So if you set the fastest lap in this race, you're on pole position for the second race here tomorrow. Everybody around that last corner then. Let's see what Sanchez can do. He doesn't want to get mixed up with any of the wild card riders. That is absolutely for sure. There's the number 56. Remember, there are many wildcards in the field here this weekend, including the female riders themselves. Everybody then lining up now on the front of the grid. Watch out, though, for Jean-Maria Ibidi from Rimini, just up the road. He's in the middle of the front row of the grid, and he could be a spoiler in this and take some championship points after some of those regular front runners struggled in qualifying. We're away, and look how aggressive Sanchez looks. Number 23, the championship leader, and he cuts across. But on the run down to turn 1 for the first time, it is Shoya Yamane from Japan who's got the lead there. Brilliant start for the Japanese rider, who was the first Japanese rider to take a pole position in the history of this class so far. And he's got the advantage as we come through turns 1, 2 and 3 on the opening lap. Ibidi, number 61, is in 2nd place with the all-white crash helmet. Burr there just being a bit careful careful. In about 5th position now for the Brazilian, number 88, who is fighting for this championship. It's Yamani leading from Ibidi. Sanchez, championship leader, in 3rd place. Mario Salles from Brazil is in 4th position, where he started on the grid. And this is slipstreaming central now on the run down the back straight to Lequecha corner on the opening lap of the race. Sanchez has a look. And he goes through into the lead because there's a mistake from Yamani, who runs out wide. And from the lead, he's down to 2nd, he's down to 3rd, he's almost now down into 5th position because the field just pouring past the Japanese rider. And all of that hard work from qualifying and for the first third of the lap has been completely nullified for Yamani, who falls down from the lead to 5th position. Now he's almost on the grass as he goes up the inside of Mario Salles, the rider from Brazil. Sanchez then with the lead. Ibidi in that 2nd place. And what a first appearance this is in the class for Ibidi. And he goes through now and he takes Sanchez. He takes the lead of this race. Gonzalo's a very, very canny, thinking man's rider, and he'll be mindful of the fact that Ibidi is only a wildcard rider, but he'd much rather take 25 points for a race win than the 20 for 2nd place. And I can't say that Ibidi knows the track like the back of his hand because he's not actually got much experience around Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. So young these riders are. They all go down the football side, trying to break the slipstream of those behind into the 2nd lap. 9 to go. And Ibidi's up the inside. This is brilliant stuff from the debutant here at Misano. More side-by-side going on behind him. Mark Vick's looking to make his way through the field. He's currently running in 5th position. Remember, he started further down the order in 6th position, but he is 2nd in the championship. 14 points behind is Mark Vick. He's number 96, the 17-year-old from Palma de Mallorca with the David Salom junior team, the racing school. And of course, they have carried many riders over the years, not least Ana Carrasco to the World Supersport 300 title of 2018. There's Ibidi, number 61. You can see the winners and losers off the grid, and Cam Swain's had a bad start, unfortunately. 7 positions. Cameron's dropped so far down into 12th spot. How many riders are running wide as they come through Lequecha corner? This is really potentially going to shake up the championship order here this afternoon at Misano. But that's a lead and a half now for Gonzalo Sanchez. He must be a full 2nd ahead. Yes, he is. As he comes out of Tramonto, they're really making a mess of this, aren't they, further back, with Salles now up into 2nd place. And there's a shake of the head from Eduardo Burr with Takumi Takahashi all over the back of him. Another one of the Japanese riders in the field. Alessandro De Persio here at home in Italy is looking to cut through as well. There's the number 56. That's Yamani, who started on pole position. And we've had actually 3 different pole sitters from the 3 qualifying sessions so far in 2024. It started at Barcelona at the end of March. We continued a month later at Assen, and here we are after a 2-month layoff at Misano. But we'll be straight to Donington for the next round alongside World SBK for the British round, and then the 2nd half of the season will begin, and it will conclude with Magny-Cours in France and Aragon in Spain. This rider's home round, Gonzalo Sanchez. Aragon hosting their 2 races on Saturday the 27th and Sunday the 28th of September. Now, they do have limited gearing options with these bikes, but look at Mark Vick. That was a wonderful move there. The traction he had halfway through the park chicane coming out of turn 1, and then the track goes to the left, and he had the inside line for turn 2, but it's still Sanchez with a lead of 1.2 seconds. Mario Salles of Brazil is 2nd. His compatriot, Burr, there he is with a bright yellow helmet, number 88, 3rd place. Jean-Maria Ibidi is still in 4th position, having come here as a wildcard rider this weekend and qualified brilliantly on the front row of the grid in the short qualifying session here yesterday. Ibidi with Moto3 experience here in Italy in the CIV, the Italian National Series. But only really starting there last year with 2 races, and he did score points, 14 of them, to finish 21st overall in the championship. So the 16-year-old Ibidi really making a name for himself in his young motorcycle racing career so far. There goes Sanchez, 1.5 seconds ahead now, looking to make it, if he possibly can, 4 victories from 5 starts. You can really sense the frustration, can't you, for Mark Vick? There he is on the right-hand side of your picture, number 96, with the all-white crash helmet. He's not going to get round the outside of there, is he? Surely. Number 56 ahead of him is the pole sitter, Yamane. Ibidi now then behind Mark Vick and down to 6th place, just ahead of his Japanese compatriot, Takumi Takahashi. Pucci now goes through and takes Takahashi as well. So that's another one of the wild cards this weekend moving through. Christian Pucci with the bLU cRU Yamaha Racing Italy squad moves through into 7th place. Then it's one of the regular Italians, Alessandro Di Persio, with Jolan, number 19. The French rider in 10th place. But we do have some long lap penalties now being handed out for jump start. So double long lap penalties for 2 of the riders. One of them is Indy Schunselaar, the Dutchman, who just can't get the luck, can he? So far this season, he's already made a difficult start and he's down in 22nd position. The other rider is the number 88, who's currently on for a podium, Eduardo Burr. So he's going to have to take, across the course of the next few laps, 2 long lap penalties. And that's going to drop Eduardo Burr completely out of podium contention unless he can do something spectacular in the closing stages of the race. So that's going to promote Mark Vick, who's second in the championship, back up into podium contention. Oh, what frustration for Burr. He now goes through and takes 2nd place. I don't know whether he's got the notification yet for the double long lap penalty. They informed them just as they were going past the pitch, didn't they, last time round, and certainly he's not taking it on this occasion because the long lap penalty is just underneath this camera on the outside of the Sunset Corner, Tremonto Corner here at Misano. World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli. It was designed in 1969. It was reversed in 2006 into what is now its customary clockwise configuration. This part of the world very, very famous for road racing because the starters used to get tremendous start money back in the day, the likes of Phil Reed, the 7-time world champion. And look at Mark Vick, he's up into 2nd place, but he runs wide and he's going to be punished for that. He comes back on, not punished in terms of rules, but punished in terms of losing the position, and he's furious because Sales has gone through. But to be fair, Mark, you were off the track and Sales is racing you for position. So Mark now down into 3rd place. Burr is 4th and still needs to take the double long lap penalty, and he'll have that sinking feeling now, will the Brazilian, as he sees the notification of the double long lap on the gantry, just where that bridge is there with the Pirelli sign, and no doubt on his own pit board as well. Other people also running wide in the background. There goes Burr, fighting away with Mark Vick. And this is so costly for Eduardo because he's 3rd in the championship coming into this race and only 16 points behind Gonzalo Sanchez, who's now leading there, number 23, by 2 seconds, 42, Sales. Then it's Mark Vick. What can Mark do? Surely at least 2nd place. Somebody's being forced wide there. Are they all going to get through cleanly? Just about. That was Takahashi sorting himself out, being forced out wide at Rio, and then having to tuck back into the inside line almost of the left-hander at turn 6. Now, Burr this time will surely know he's got a double long lap penalty, and I imagine he's going to rejoin at the back of this leading pack, isn't he? Then he's got to take a 2nd one as well, and you can see in the background, Tong Da Moon of Thailand, Dorian Jalan of France, and Cam Swain, who, after a difficult start, is doing well, actually, to fight back up through the order, currently in 12th place. And Burr has not taken the long lap penalty yet. He does have 5 laps to do so, though. In fact, he gets 6 laps to do so for a jump start. It's 5 usually here at World SBK for a long lap penalty, but if you jump the start, it's 6 laps by virtue of the fact, of course, that it is a double long lap penalty. And Mark Vick's at it again. Signals to Eduardo Burr, 42. Mario Sales, the other Brazilian, he's having a real go now as well. Yamane's in on the act as well. Look at the Brazilian riders, they're all over the place. There's the number 56 of Yamane, who started on pole position. One of the 3 different pole sitters so far this season. But there always was the possibility coming into this weekend with all of the one event riders or wildcard riders looking to shake things up, with no fewer than 8 of them on the grid this weekend, including the 3 female riders, Joy Bruno, or Josephine to give her full name, Ariana Barali, and Denise Dalzotto, who we know well from the British paddock, having raced previously in British Junior Supersport. 5 laps to go. We're into the 2nd half of this first one of the weekend here, with track temperatures now soaring to 45 degrees Celsius. in the heat of the Adriatic coast of Italy, where there is a real fervent activity ahead of the national football team competing tonight in the opening game for them of the Euro football tournament. Italy will be up against Albania at 8 o'clock tonight, so no doubt all of the bars down in Misano Adriatica and Riccione and Cattolica and the other towns along the seafront will be packed to the rafters, but quite a few people have stayed on to watch this R3 World Cup race, and they're side by side on the left-hand side of your picture. I don't know how they got through there cleanly. Now, watch the rider with the yellow crash helmet. That's Eduardo Bur. No, he's not taking the long lap. Has he seen the notification? We do see this sometimes with some of the lesser experienced riders in these classes, and of course this is a feeder category at the end of the day. He's one of the older riders on the grid, though, it must be said, Eduardo, from Carapuccio, just outside San Paulo. He's racing with the Yamaha AD78 Team Latin America squad, 18 years of age, and he bullies his way past Mark Vick on the inside of the Cavoni, the fastest corner on the track, turn 11 here at Misano. You can see the gaps, though. You can see that all this fighting, as well as the pace of the leader, has now allowed a nice, comfortable lead once again for Gonzalo Sanchez, up at the front of over 2 seconds. We've had 40 races in this class since it started back in 2021, and we've already had one of the most dominant wins we've ever seen so far this season. And it was Gonzalo Sanchez twice at Barcelona, in fact, the most dominant wins we've ever seen. One of them was 8.7 seconds, the other one was 11.1 in the first race of the season, but then just to flip things around the other way, one of the closest ever finishes, we had the 7th closest finish at Assen last time out, when Sanchez was just 18 thousandths of a second ahead of Mark Vick over the line. So, one of those long lap penalties has been taken by Indy Sunsalar down towards the back of the field, but Bur yet to do so, and if he doesn't do it soon, he is fast running out of laps, and that would then be converted to a ride-through penalty if he doesn't take his 2 long lap penalties. So time will tell as to what he does there. Sunsalar, incidentally, at the back of the field, the Dutch rider in this one, had a nasty crash back at Assen, but got the green light from the doctor at the Nürburgring, which isn't too far from where he's based, actually, over the border from the Netherlands into Germany, so didn't have to go through the medical procedure here at World SBK, as he got the green light from the FIM and the medical team at the Nürburgring following his Assen crash. But look now at Gonzalo Sanchez just pulling away, and I've got a horrible feeling that Bur hasn't seen that notification for his double long lap penalty as he pushes on with this lead group. So Mark Vick, critically for Marks, exactly what he wanted. The rider from Mallorca back up here into second place. What a glorious sound that is as these Yamaha R3s stream their way out of Tremonto and into the Cavoni. Mario Salles is number 42. Mario coming into the afternoon, the Brazilian rider, further down the championship than he would have liked, in only 10th place after a difficult run actually at the start of the season. He's had 1 non-finish. He's been 12th in a couple of the races, but his best result was last time out at Assen when he was 8th. But certainly this is by far Mario Salles' strongest race of the season so far, up here fighting away for second place. Here they come. The 2 Brazilians absolutely locked together here. De Percio's now caught the number 69, Alessandro De Percio, and the crowd will be pleased about this if they can have one of their homegrown talents up on the podium, and he will be on the podium if it stays like this, because Bur will need his penalties, and almost contact there at the back of the group. Oh, look at them almost bumping into one another. That was Pucci, the wild card, and Takahashi. Some really hard but fair racing going on there. But let's see what De Percio can do. Here he is, number 69. He sets the fastest lap of the race at this point, a 1:54.3. Where did that come from? That is half a second, over half a second, 0.6 of a second quicker than Sanchez, who's leading this race. De Percio, who turned 17 on the Thursday after the Catalan round earlier on this season. He started off racing here in Italy 4 years ago in their very strong national pre-Moto3 series. Then he stepped up into the European Talent Cup in 2021 and continued racing in pre-Moto3 here in Italy. He just did 4 races there, though, in 2022. A lot of these riders have been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, which put paid to a few of their careers over the last few years. But look at that lead now. Absolutely superb stuff for Sanchez. Unsurprisingly, for ignoring those 2 long lap penalties, we've got a ride through now for the 88 of Eduardo Bur. And if he doesn't see that and doesn't take the ride-through, he'll have time-equivalent penalties for 2 long-lap penalties and a ride-through penalty at the end of the race. It's 3 seconds for a long lap, and it's 43 seconds for a ride-through, so that will be 49 seconds added onto his race time. Unless, of course, he sees the boards and decides to take the ride-through penalty, which means you have to go through the pit lane at 60 kilometres per hour on the limiter. It's a rather long pit lane here at Misano as well. We're coming through then to start the penultimate tour, lap 9 of 10, and Gonzalo Sanchez up in the lead, number 23, this astonishing Spaniard from Aragon, and he'll be racing at home at Aragon at the end of the season, now leading the field by 3 seconds. He starts so strongly, he puts in such strong opening laps, but you have to say, they don't make it easy for themselves further back, do they? And they've proven that they could lap as quickly as Sanchez. There he is up the road, by virtue of the fact we've just seen that fastest lap on the 7th of the 10 laps for Percio. That's Ibidi on the outside, number 61. What a great performance this is for Ibidi. There's the confirmation of the ride-through for Eduardo Burr. And that'll drop him, of course, completely out of contention and out of the point. So it now means that some of those riders further back in the pack who are fighting away in the lower reaches of the top 15, which you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, will be scoring points. Joy Bruno certainly in there. One rider who is struggling this weekend with these hotter temperatures is David Novak, number 46, who we were expecting very much to be a title contender. And he finished 2nd at Barcelona in the 2nd race, 3rd at Assen in the in the 2nd race as well. And he's all the way down in 13th position at the moment, David Novak from Poland. But this is now the penultimate lap. This is absolute critical domination here for the leader, and that was a move across from the 42 of Mario Sales, and Mark Vick having to take evasive action. I don't know whether the stewards will be looking into that one. It clearly wasn't done on purpose there by Sales, number 42, the 16-year-old from Brazil, but definitely the Mallorcan. Mark Vick did have to take evasive action there, didn't he? Not to run into him. Mark Vick was 6th in 2021. He finished 4th, his best so far in this championship last season. Out of Misano corner, down the start-finish straight. This is the 10th and final lap. There goes Gonzalo Sanchez, and he's gone. That's a 3-second lead. Up the inside goes Sales, number 42 from Brazil, into 2nd position. Don't forget, we will be at the halfway point of this 2024 FIM Yamaha R3 bLU cRU World Cup at the end of the race weekend. And who's going to get the 20 points for 2nd place? This is the story of the season so far, isn't it? Sanchez leading on his own at the front with a multiple rider scrap going on for 2nd place. It's happened more often than not, and domination like that is so rare in a one-mate category like this. It shows you how impressive Sanchez is as the 15-year-old leads on this final tour. But who's going to get this 2nd place? Burr has dropped to the back of the pack, which is ironic because he'll be getting the penalty anyway. Nearly 50 seconds will be added to his time at the end of the race for ignoring 2 long laps and 1 ride-through penalty. Who will get 2nd place then? Mario Sales, there he is, number 42 from Brazil, the 16-year-old. 96 is Mark Vick, the 17-year-old from Palma in Mallorca. And Shoya Inamani's coming back into this, having gone down in history as the first Japanese rider to claim pole position. Percio of Italy, to the delight of the crowd, is up there as well, number 69. And it's Mark Vick who comes out of the Cavoni in 2nd place. Percio now is up there as well. Running wide in the background is Ibidi. Gian-Maria Ibidi, the newcomer from Italy, the one-event wildcard rider this weekend who qualified on the front row of the grid. 1, 2, maybe 3 of them there exceeded track limits and will be given post-race automatic time penalties for that. Takahashi was definitely one of them. They'll have to sort that one out in the timing room post-race. Here, though, comes Gonzalo Sanchez, the 15-year-old from Teruel in Aragon, to claim his 4th victory from 5 races so far this year. But the question is, who's going to be 2nd? Mark Vick limits the damage in the championship to pick up 2nd place and lose the minimum 5 points to our dominant winner. And to the delight, I am sure, of the crowd, Christian Pucci, as a one-event rider with the bLU cRU Yamaha Racing Italy outfit, has finished on the podium. He's slipstreamed Percio on the run to the line, and well done, Pucci. That's a really impressive effort here in front of all of the World Superbike teams and riders. Sure enough, it is a post-race time penalty for Burr. What they've decided to do in the end is give him a 43-second time penalty. That's the equivalent of one ride-through. He was given the ride-through for ignoring his 2 long laps. So Eduardo Burr there. That's a very, very costly afternoon for Eduardo, who was 3rd in the championship and now has dropped down to 4th in the championship. So David Novak, despite a difficult afternoon here himself, has actually managed to move up to 3rd in the championship. Sanchez, his lead increases by 5 points from 14 to 19. And the fastest lap of the race means pole position tomorrow for Italy's very own Alessandro Di Percio. The results are under review. Remember, I mentioned that Takahashi and at least one, if not 2 of the riders, exceeded track limits coming down through the right-handers of turns 12 and 13, and the entry to 14, the hairpin, the Caro hairpin, at the end of the lap. So let's just wait for a moment to see exactly who will be in those final few top 5 positions. Mark Vick 2nd. I don't think that's in doubt. I'm just wondering to see whether Pucci might have been one of those riders who exceeded limits. There he is, the Italian flag there, where the front right headlamp would be. And he comes through as a one-event rider. That's brilliant, isn't it? Isn't it nice to see some of these new talents coming through as one-event riders? And brilliant rise up through the field as well, from 13th on the grid. A 10-place rise. He must have made a brilliant start. And fantastic racecraft there from Christian Pucci. I love the helmet as well, the all-white crash helmet there with just his name in a sort of old-school red font across that helmet. It has been a big break for the World Cup for the R3s, but we have had a lot of drama going on in other places. We have the Latin America Championship kicking off with its first 2 rounds at Goiânia in Brazil, and then they moved on as well to Cavelo. So there's been a lot of action happening over there in the various different elements of the Yamalube R3 bLU cRU Latin America series, and we have many different series for the bLU cRU around the world, not just in the road racing here on circuits, but also motocross as well. But some real standout performances here by the one-event riders, with Jean-Maria Ibidi, the 16-year-old from Rooney, qualifying on the front row of the grid, and now another one of those one-event riders, Christian Pucci, actually finishing on the podium. Here comes Mark Vick. He takes 20 points for 2nd place. And with Sanchez on the kind of form he's demonstrating at the moment, with the greatest respect to the rest of the bLU cRU field, it feels like 2nd is the most Mark could have hoped for. But once again, he was getting a bit frustrated there, wasn't he, with other riders. Had they worked together a bit better, might they have caught Sanchez? Well, I definitely think they could have made some inroads into what was a 2-second lead at that point. It's now 2.8. And Gonzalo, ever the showman, making his way across the gravel trap, asking the marshal to support his R3. He'll get up onto the top of the tyre barrier. We saw this at Barcelona when he was receiving the plaudits from the crowd, and those who stayed on. There's a lot of them actually in the paddock, around the paddock show at the moment, some of them taking the shade of the main grandstand, and he's loving it, isn't he? He laps up the attention, does Gonzalo Sanchez, in a very Marc Marquez or Valentino Rossi-esque fashion. Back on the power, back on the bike, and you've got to make the most of the moment, and he always says that himself. That's one non-finish, a crash at Assen, but all the rest of the races he has won. 4 race wins from 5 starts so far in the championship. And it's an affordable championship as well in motorcycle racing terms. 30,500 euros for the full kit and the entry. If you win the super finale, then you actually get a free pass into the World Cup. And that's exactly what this rider here, Gonzalo Sanchez, did by winning the super finale last season, which took place at Jerez in Spain. This year it will be taking place later in the season. Sorry, Portimao in Portugal. I'm saying Jerez in Spain. It was Portimao in Portugal. It'll be Jerez in Spain this year. Got it the wrong way around there. As Sanchez makes his way down into Parc Fermé, through victory lane. And just listen and watch these celebrations. It's not just Gonzalo who is learning, it's the whole team as well. The Arco Motor University team that had huge success already in motorcycle racing with Alvaro Diaz when they won the Supersport 300 world title. Here's Mark Vick, 20 points for him in second place, but 25 for Sanchez, who wins. So this is your final race result. Sanchez by 2.8 seconds. Pucci there, up there on the podium as a one-event rider. Well done to him. David Novak, a very bruising afternoon in terms of the championship, down in 13th place. And Indy Sundsvall just can't get it together at the moment. Burr classified, having run as high as second, all the way down in last but one. But it was all his own fault, I'm afraid. He had 2 double long lap penalties for jumping the start. Either missed them or ignored them. More likely missed it. I can't imagine for 1 second he would have deliberately ignored them. But because of that error, he was given a long lap penalty, ride-through penalty. Seemed to miss that as well. So as a result, he's given a post-race time equivalent penalty. 43 seconds. Gonzalo then will now find Georgia Wells down in Parc Ferme and digest what was a 4th win from 5 starts. Georgia.
Gonzalo, on Friday you struggled a little bit to find your feeling, but you worked very hard, and again you've won by a good margin, avoiding the big battle. So tell us about your race.
Yeah, I begin the race good with a good start. I in the 3rd place. Yeah, yesterday it's not my best day. My words is so bad. I'm sorry. And today I work a lot with my team, and that's it. Victory, and tomorrow more. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's it. Victory, he says. I couldn't have summed it up better myself, Gonzalo. I was chatting with him last night. He said, yeah, 3rd on the grid, but I've been working very, very hard on my race pace. And goodness me, it showed, didn't it, across the course of 10 laps there in searing heat with 45 degrees Celsius track temperature in this first race of the weekend. Look at him through the heat haze. Pulls across. There's all the fighting going on behind. Nothing to do with Gonzalo, though, as he wins by 3 seconds here ahead of the rest of the field. But we know how quickly things can change. There's different ways of looking at this. If he hadn't had the crash at Assen, he'd be even further ahead. However, the crash at Assen was a wake-up call to remind him that things can change in the blink of an eye, and were that to happen again, he could lose the championship lead tomorrow, and that's why he is as realistic as ever. That was our first look there at Christian Pucci, number 33, as he comes up to receive the 3rd place trophy. Remember, it's De Percio in front of his home crowd who will start on pole position tomorrow by virtue of today's fastest lap. The Sunday race here will commence, if everything's on time, at 4:15, the same time we should have started at today. We ended up being half an hour late in the end because of incidents in earlier races. But 4:15 Central European time, 3:15 in the UK, and consult your guides around the world. You can see on the World Superbike website, worldsbk.com. If you go to the schedule on the homepage there, you can convert the start times to your local time around the world. But it's 4:15 local time tomorrow, which is just under 23 hours from now, if you want to work that out. Well done, Christian Pucci. Another new rider on the podium in the R3 World Cup. That's 5 different new podium finishes so far this season. David Novak, Nicholas Zanin, Takumi Takahashi, Pucci and Gonzalo Sanchez himself. Second then to Mark Vick, another brilliant podium for Mark, the 9th of his career, to equal Gustavo Manso for 2nd in the record books. Only 3 behind Kevin Fontana's overall record now. But there's Gonzalo. 4 podiums, 4 wins from 5 starts this season. So the national anthem for Spain, once again for Gonzalo Sanchez. And now the Japanese national anthem, unsurprisingly, because a Yamaha won the race.
Congratulations to our top.
He's always run the number 23 in his very young racing life so far. He's still only 15. He'll turn 16 in August, will Gonzalo Sanchez. Interestingly, a lot of riders see their crash helmet colours and crash helmet design as very sacrosanct across their career, but as you can see, look, he's got a very simple, plain design there, and that's done on purpose. He said, I don't want any particularly dramatic design. It's not important to me. I just like to focus on the racing. 3 very happy young men there. Gonzalo Sanchez, your winner. Mark Vick on the left, second, and Christian Pucci there on the right, third for Italy on his debut here in the World Cup as a one-event rider. 4 wins from 5 so far this year for Sanchez. Mark Vick limits the damage in the championship, and Pucci as a one-event rider is third. De Percio 4th and sets the fastest lap for pole position here in race 2 on Sunday. And well done also to some of the other one-event riders, including Joy Bruno there in 14th place, 2 championship points. A costly missing of the penalty boards for Burr leaves him well down outside the points, and Sunselar failed to score as well. David Novak also losing some ground. Sanchez then hits his century of points in the lead as Novak moves ahead of Burr. Mark Vick still 19 points behind, which means he could actually overhaul Sanchez, but for that to happen, Vick would need to finish second or win on Sunday, with Sanchez failing to score points. Unlikely, but possible, as the incident at Assen earlier in the year demonstrated. So, 4:15 Central European time for race 2 here on Sunday. Enjoy the football, those of you watching later on, but for now, what can they do to stop Gonzalo Sanchez, who takes his 4th win from 5 starts so far this season in the FIM Yamaha R3 bLU cRU World Cup? Good evening from Misano. We'll see you on Sunday.